JQ with Tech Creation, what's going on? So this is my first time covering an LG phone up on the channel, so I'm probably just as new to this as some of you guys watching. So here's everything you need to know about the LG G6. This is a pre-release model, but don't expect much to change when the quote-unquote final model gets released. So for starters, it's water resistant with its IP68 rating. So already right out the box, it's one up from the Google Pixel, which is great. And you also get fast charging via USB-C power delivery. We definitely need that in a smartphone in 2017, so far so good. Thankfully, we do get wireless charging, so you don't exactly have to go and throw out your Qi chargers just yet. We also get Google Assistant, which actually, if I read it correctly, this makes this the first non-Google smartphone to come with Google Assistant built directly in the phone. As you guys know, that was an exclusive feature to Pixel phones only, so it's kind of interesting to see that come to an LG phone at that. So yeah, we're off to a pretty good start with this guy. So this is the year of thin bezels according to major leaks recently. LG being amongst the first to showcase its glorious 18:9 aspect ratio. They call this the full vision display, which is what LG says it's optimized for viewing Dolby Vision content, and this phone is also HDR10 compatible. Those technologies are still so premature, so I'll leave that for another video. So it's basically nothing but screen with the LG G6. You get about an 80% screen to body ratio, and the fact that it's extra sharp with 564 ppi is basically a 2K display, and it makes it all the more better. Anything on this display looks immersive, especially cool Galaxy wallpapers. I happen to be obsessed with these. It's one of those smartphones displays that you find yourself staring at it for no particular reason. I'm sure some of you guys may identify with that. It compensates by adding black bars when viewing standard 16:9 content, and some people have a problem with those bars, but honestly, I don't really have much of an issue with it. You don't really notice it too much when watching videos. At least I can say that with the shiny black model, because the black bars blend into the body pretty well. I can see it being a little bit more noticeable with the platinum model, which by the way looks 10 times more sexier, but LG sent me this one instead, so it is what it is. So yeah, you can mess with the app scaling within the settings, so you can have your apps fill the entire screen or not. I personally just like to leave it on 18:9 and get the most out of my screen real estate, but your options are always there. Now I know this isn't anything new, but remember this is my first LG phone, but that knock lock screen feature I thought was pretty hot. I'll be honest, it does seem like one of those features that you'll forget over the course of time, given my experience with previous smartphones, but I still think it makes for a pretty good party trick. And it's also a great secure alternative to actually using your fingerprints, so I kind of like that a lot. Coming from some of the best smartphones out, I'm kind of disappointed that we don't get an LED notification light. That's something I've been kind of used to over the past couple years using Samsung and Nexus phones, and I didn't realize how much I depended on it until now. Similarly, I also wish there was a dedicated sleep button. Instead, in its place, you get a dual tray slot for your SIM card and one for your micro SD card, so major points when it comes to storage expansion. Now, I don't really like how the power button is the fingerprint scanner. It feels a little funny at times. Now, on that topic, registering your fingerprint was lightning fast, and unlocking it is just as fast as some of the best smartphones out. And honestly speaking, I think that we're beginning to peak when it comes to the speed of fingerprint scanners. They're all beginning to feel the same at this point. I mean, this is fast, the Nexus 6P is fast, the iPhone is fast. Same argument goes for displays. I mean, I think it's safe to say most smartphones come with a pretty good display, so I just think smartphones are plateauing in a sense. So in a weird way, the LG UX reminds me of an iPhone in how the icons are uniformly sized despite the actual app icon size. Now that's not actually a bad thing, it actually makes it easier on the eyes compared to some other smartphone UIs that I've seen in the past. I am disappointed that we don't see Android 7.1 Nougat right out the box, and the reason being is because Android app shortcuts was something that I really used a lot, and I'm really gonna miss that. I mean, I used it for Google Maps and Google Chrome, but I'm sure an update will be coming to the LG G6 in the very near future, so gotta remain optimistic there. So just like the previous LG V20 and the LG G5, the dual lens setup carries over this time. We get a standard view lens with optical image stabilization and a secondary 125-degree wide angle lens, and for me the wide angle lens is a little too fisheye for my taste. Don't get me wrong, I can think of a million different scenarios where this type of shot would come in handy, but I think they could have achieved it without the photos looking so bendy on the edges. It's not really my cup of tea, to be honest. But pictures with the standard lens look great during the daytime, and it does a decent job in low light scenarios, but I'm just not really a fan of how over-processed the images that come out of the LG G6 are. Photos tend to be a little too over-sharpened, especially in low light scenarios, and it results in this unsightly grain in the photos. And I mean, low light produces noise on its own, so to over-sharpen that, it just looks kind of disgusting sometimes. Generally speaking, if you're going to be outdoors during the day hanging out with friends, I think the LG G6 takes pretty amazing pictures with its standard lens. I spent some time messing around recording some 4K footage with the standard lens, given that it has optical image stabilization, and I was pretty impressed during one-handed use on how stable the footage came out. So I think that the G6 makes for a pretty decent documentary smartphone camera. So the camera app is packed with all the bells and whistles that one should expect. You have your different shooting modes, different filters, etc, etc. Now I think they could have removed that gallery app up top. I just think that is a waste of space, and you can already access the gallery on the lower right corner, which is more practical for one-handed use, but I mean, that's just me. They could have expanded the viewing space by removing the gallery. I was a little disappointed with HDR. I don't know if I was just spoiled using HDR in the Google Pixel. Pictures seemed really unflattering. Like a lot of shots, the skies were just completely white, blown out, and there's just a lack of balance in the highlights and shadows. It's almost as if I took all of the photos with HDR off, when in fact it was on. Not even on auto, it was completely on. I'm sure it's the camera app doing that stuff. Again, I'm not sure if this could be fixed with a software update. I'm just not that impressed so far. Now, I'm not the best person to give you a long-term battery test because I gotta send this back to LG. So for the little bit of time that I've used this, the battery life has been pretty okay. Like, I never found myself in the middle of the day having to run to a charger to charge the LG G6. I was pretty confident in taking it outdoors and not having to worry too much. But again, maybe that'll change with the final release of the LG G6, but even for a pre-release model, the battery is pretty decent. The LG G6 is a great smartphone, but it's just another good smartphone. We've seen all of the features before. I mean, it fits in more than it stands out. Pricing for the final version of the LG G6 is still unavailable at the time of this video, but don't expect the smartphone to be cheap at all. This is a flagship smartphone, so you can expect it to be similarly priced compared to the other top flagship smartphones that are out there. So yeah, based on what you guys know about the LG G6 now, go ahead and drop those comments and let me know what are your initial impressions of this smartphone. Do you think it's worth buying? Go ahead and let me know why or why not down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be a great person and show me some love by pressing that like button. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on some awesome tech videos. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.